Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to ask these cards about the quadruple homicide that took place in Idaho on November 13th of this year, 2022. From what we know, the four victims, Kaylee, Madison, Ethan, and Xana, were stabbed to death sometime in the early morning hours as they slept. The investigation is still ongoing, and at the time of this recording, no suspects have been named. So, I'm going to jump right into this. Please remember, folks, these readings, they are alleged and they are for entertainment purposes only. I'm not affiliated with the investigation, with the families, nothing like that. I'm just going to read the cards. So, with all that being said, and without further ado, let's get started. So with these first couple of cards, I was asking for just something to get us going, a jumping off point to start building up a picture of this suspect. So what we're getting is this candy cane angel and this dress of alchemy card. So this first card in this context, it's leading me to think that the person who committed this crime, this is something they thought about doing for a long time. It's something they've been building up towards. I don't know yet if they targeted these people in particular or if they just wanted to kill somebody. With the second card, I think they felt oppressed in some way. It's giving me the energy of somebody who feels like they're not recognized for their achievements, or of somebody who feels like they're better than people. I keep picturing somebody who feels like they're better than the people that they work with. So it could be that they're stuck in a dead-end job, or they feel like people, it could be manager, co-workers, customers, they feel like people mistreat them, put them down, think less of them. I feel like they had a lot of bottled up anger that they were looking to release. I do see some potential stalking behaviors. Once again, I can't tell if it's targeting these people in particular or if they have like maybe multiple people that they're watching, thinking about. I keep seeing them maybe getting a hold of somebody's driver's license or other identification and jotting down the address to, find out where somebody lives. So it could be they work in a job where maybe you have to show your ID. So that could be anything from, liquor store attendant to government employee, or it could just be they nicked a person's driver's license, but I keep seeing a driver's license. These next three cards are about how they come across to people, this person that committed this crime. How do they present themselves to the world? The first card, the Ace of Swords in reverse, that is about how they appear to colleagues, acquaintances, people that don't know them very well. The Hermit card in reverse is about how they presented themselves to one or all of the victims. And the Queen of Wands is how they act around family and friends. So with this first card, people see them as confused. I'm reading that as incapable. So going back to their job, they may come across as like a bumbling idiot or somebody who constantly has to be told what to do, can't stay on task, appears disinterested, or somebody who likes to cause problems. I also think their communication skills are not the best. They may stutter or just have trouble saying what they want to say. There's something about having trouble expressing themselves. So I'm picking up on either a stutter or a really tight throat or getting tongue-tied, or getting so upset that you can't get your words out. I am picking up on some social difficulties, especially when this person is under stress. So like if this person were being yelled at by a customer, they would either shut down, or if they've been repressing for a long time, they could explode. I feel like this person represses quite a bit. And then for how they came across to the victims, I still can't tell if they were friends or acquaintances or even knew each other prior to the crime. I'll try and get more into that later. But they're coming across as isolated, as lonely, as a loner, maybe somebody who keeps to themselves, who doesn't talk very much. They're either coming across as like creepy loner type, or they're coming across as feel sorry for me because I'm all by myself. With the Hermit in reverse like this, I am also picking up on some incel energy, someone who feels like they're being forced to be by themselves. Someone who lacks a bit of self-awareness about how their behavior comes off to other people. Like they may think that they come off as kind of cute and shy and pleasant and polite, when really they're coming off as like creepy loner guy or desperate or whatever it is. And then Queen of Wands shows me they're quite a bit different around their family and friends. Once people get to know them, they are actually much more confident, much more expressive. I don't know if they're lying to people and claiming to have achieved more than they have, because Queen of Wands is a good manifester, so somebody who knows how to get what they want. They're also very sexually appealing. They just have that natural, like, sexual energy about them. So this could be somebody that's telling people that know them well, like, yeah, I'm dating this girl, we're getting along really well, maybe I'll bring her around later, you can meet her, and then that person never appears, never manifests. Or they could say, yeah, I'm doing great at work, I just got this raise, or I think I'm about to get this promotion. But somehow they're coming across as very confident, very capable, lots of energy, lots of drive. So I'm picking up on a lot of social awkwardness. I do think they are one of those people that aren't great at talking to strangers, don't come across very well to people who don't know them. But once they get to know somebody, once they're comfortable, they do come out of their shell. Okay, so next up, I was asking about how the killer felt about each of the victims to see if we could narrow it down, if one person was the target, or two, or three, or all of them. So I've got 𝘰𝘮 over here with the Two of Pentacles, followed by Madison with the Two of Swords in reverse, Ethan, Page of Cups, and then Xana, a whole bunch of cards flew out. We got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, Death in reverse, and the King of Pentacles in reverse. So I do think this person has issues with Xana. I can't tell if she was the intended target or not, but this person does appear to have a problem with Xana. So I'll come back to her in a second. Ethan, this person sees him as a pretty boy. Somebody who is young, vibrant, good at sweet-talking the ladies. Sees Ethan as almost emotionally, I don't want to say fragile, I guess sensitive. And they see Madison as the lesser of two evils, in a sense. Or there's something to do with choice here, trying to make a choice between two people. I wonder if it's not Madison and 𝘰𝘮, because 𝘰𝘮 is getting the Two of Pentacles upright. But this would be like with the Two of Swords in reverse. If he was acquainted with two people in this house, he dislikes both of them, he sees Madison as the less awful of the two. That could also be read as collateral damage. And a similar thing about collateral damage with the Two of Pentacles here. That's about an equal, even exchange, or about being very busy, having a lot on your plate, a lot to balance. So with 𝘰𝘮, I'm getting that he does see her as somebody who is very busy, has a lot going on. I could see this playing out as if this person tried to ask 𝘰𝘮 out for a date and she rejected him. She may have given him the excuse, oh, it's just not a good time for me because I've got school and I think she was in a sorority, and I've got maybe work, and I just have a lot going on. I'm sorry, I don't have time right now. But I can also see her as potential collateral damage with this equal, even exchange. It's like, I came here intending to kill one or two people, but you happen to be in the same room, or maybe you woke up, something like that. But I do feel like he probably knew one or both of these people. 𝘰𝘮 and Madison. I can't really tell how well, if he was part of their friend group or just an acquaintance or was stalking them. I think he had spoken to at least one of them before, but I really can't tell how deep the connection goes. And then with Xana over here. So Wheel of Fortune in reverse, bad luck, missed opportunity. Death in reverse, inability to change, putrefaction, decay. King of Pentacles in reverse, somebody who feels physically unattractive. Also, somebody who is a bit of a sadist. That card comes out a lot for me for sadists. And this is about how he feels about Xana, remember? So this card in particular is why I was saying I feel like he has a beef with her of some kind. Either he feels like she has put him down physically, rejected him in some way, made fun of his appearance, or he feels like he just wants to hurt her, to punish her in some way. So yeah, once again, if we're looking at like the lesser of two evils here with Madison, could be like, I really despise Xana. Madison, she's not great, but she's not as bad as Xana. And then 𝘰𝘮 is collateral damage. I can't quite tell. I feel like one of these girls is coming across as collateral damage. One of them is coming across as the intended victim, but I'm not certain it's Xana, or if Xana is just somebody that he hates, and she happens to be in the house with the other person that he wants to kill, and so it's like, why not? May as well. I don't like her anyway. And I don't see Ethan as being the target. He doesn't have any strong feelings, at least not that I'm picking up, about Ethan. I'm not even getting that he's jealous of Ethan. He just sees him as, I just keep hearing like a pretty boy. or somebody who's sensitive. I also think 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝘴, he feels like she saw him in a bad light. It would be like, say this person is really good at something, like they're really good at shooting a bow and arrow, hitting the target. And so they're out one day, they're practicing, they're having an off day. It's one of those days where they just can't seem to hit anything. And 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝑴 happens to be there, she happens to see them. So she gets the impression that this person can't shoot a bow and arrow, and she tells everyone, oh, this person is always saying how great they are, but I watched them one day and they couldn't hit a thing. Or something to do with their physical appearance. They fell into a puddle of mud that day, and now 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝑴 always calls them this person who fell into the puddle of mud, who's always dirty or something. Like they feel like 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝑴 saw them on an off day and formed an impression based on that, and has never let it go, or they've never been able to live it down. There's something that embarrassed them. So I really can't tell who was the intended target. I see this person having some sort of an issue, potentially with all three of these girls. Like I said, not so much with Ethan. I think it's quite possible that Kaylee rejected them and that 𝘰𝘰𝘮𝑴 embarrassed them in some way. So those are the two I would lean towards as the two most likely targets of this attack, but I can't say for sure. And delving a little bit into the motive for this crime, we're getting the 8 of Pentacles, the Hierophant in reverse, and the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. So Hierophant in reverse, this is a rejection of tradition, like a rejection of the traditional way of going about something. It could also be something like a rejected marriage proposal, or wanting to rebel against the system somehow. I keep hearing something about rejection of tradition, rejection of authority, going against the system. So I don't know if that's pointing to the university, the sorority, the fraternity, societal norms in general. I'm not entirely certain. 8 of Pentacles is about diligence, it's about high standards, it's also an apprenticeship card. It's almost giving me the vibe of somebody who wants to kill somebody just to show that they can, or just to know what it feels like somebody who really admires serial killers, really admires their craft, wants to be just like them. So they put in a lot of research, put in a lot of effort. They examine other people's crimes. They learn how to stalk their victims. This card also comes up for me a lot for people that overdo it, overthink, overplan, and give themselves away as a result sometimes, ideally. So once again, I'm picking up on some stalking behaviors, some planning things out in great detail. I still feel like they may have had their eye on more than one person, because I feel like I'm seeing them driving by a couple of different houses throughout the day, or watching a couple of different houses. It's hard for me to tell if it's like the same house from different angles, or if it's 2 different houses. And this 4 of Pentacles in reverse, that's about being possessive. So straight up wanted ownership of one of these victims, to possess them, even to possess like their life force, or just to determine if you live or if you die. It's very wanting to play God kind of vibes, but also like wanting to control a person or wanting to own them in some way. Hierophant in reverse, I would also just say there's no spiritual motive or no religious motive. I don't know if that's something that's been on the table, if people have been theorizing like maybe a cult did it or something. I'm not picking up on any like religious motives. Next up, I was asking first, how did this person, the suspect, get inside the house? With these 2 cards on my left, that's the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups in reverse. And then there were, I think, 2 other people inside the house that were spared that night. So I was asking why those 2 people weren't killed. And we're getting the King of Wands in reverse and the Wheel of Fortune. So the reason these 2 were spared, it's pretty straightforward. Wheel of Fortune is good luck, so there is an element of fate, of being in the right place, right time. And King of Wands in reverse, that tells me that this person wasn't interested in those 2, wasn't sexually attracted to them, is how I would read it. So they weren't the target, and they happened to be on a different floor or in a different room. It was basically dumb luck that those 2 were spared. And then how the person got into the home, I don't think they were invited with this Knight of Cups in reverse. More likely they forced their way in somehow with the Knight of Wands. It's giving me more of like using a crowbar or something to pry open a door, rather than somebody having a key or a door accidentally being left unlocked or anything like that. I do feel like there's some sort of a force. I just feel some kind of pressure being applied to one of the doors or one of the windows. So it's giving me like crowbar or not kicking in a door. It feels like it's pretty quiet to me. It is giving me a sense of impatience as well. I think they took a risk when they went into this house. I don't think they knew like whether there was an alarm or if the alarm was set or exactly what they would encounter when they got inside. So they may have had to go to a couple of different floors to find the person that they were looking for. Or there's also something about light. So like flashlight or like exterior lights on the house. So like maybe motion activated lights or maybe a light being maybe a light being on inside the house. So, you don't know if somebody is awake or if they're asleep and they just left the light on. Or they may have even turned the lights on themselves to find their way around and just not caring if they woke anybody up. I don't know, there's something to do with light. Or maybe a neighbor saw a flashlight as they searched through the house, or remembers the lights coming on in the middle of the night, like if there are motion activated lights. I can't tell, there's something to do with the lights. But that's about as good as I can do for the break-in. I just keep seeing this big bright light like shining down on top of this person and then being like, I don't care if I've been spotted, or I'm willing to take the risk that maybe I've been seen. Next up, I was asking what the suspect is doing now. So we're getting the Empress in reverse, the Knight of Swords in reverse, and the Hanged Man. So Empress in reverse, that could be a couple of different things. It could be they're hanging out with their family, probably not biological mother. It's giving me more a stepmother, possibly an adoptive parent, or just somebody who is a mother figure. So it could be that they still live at home or that they went home for the holidays. I'll try and clarify here in a second. Knight of Swords in reverse, that just tells me that they're lying to people, so I don't know if they've been questioned by police or if they're just offering up an alibi to friends and family, things like that, but it's just showing a lot of manipulation. I also don't think that they're making any big plans or any rash decisions. They feel like they're in a holding pattern right now, so I don't think they're like stalking another victim, planning their next kill. I'm not picking up on any of that. This is giving me more of a wait and see vibe. Wait and see how this plays out, and then I'll decide. Hanged Man upright tells me that they're thinking of making some sort of a sacrifice. I'm trying to think. I'd almost read that as throwing somebody under the bus, or possibly trying to blame this on somebody else. Like if they're talking about the crime to other people, they might be offering up another suspect, saying, so-and-so, he was really interested in Kaylee or Madison. Like, maybe the police should look at that guy. Or, I heard somebody say this or that about the crime. Like, that's kind of suspicious, right? Or making a plan. Like, who can I sacrifice? Maybe asking people about their movements that night. Like, oh, so I know this person doesn't have an alibi. And then maybe if police question me, I can say, well, this person told me something really weirdly specific about the crime. Like maybe something that nobody who hadn't been in the house that night would know about. So maybe you should look at that person. I see these thoughts are just like running through their head. I don't feel like they've taken any definitive action yet. Because like I said, I feel like they're in a holding pattern. But it's like they're planning out their next move. Like, if the police do come and question me, what can I say? Or how can I point them towards somebody else? Or what can I say, like, making a sacrifice? It's almost like, yeah, I had a thing for Kaylee. Like, you're right, I was kind of inappropriate with her at one point in time. Like, fessing up to something smaller to try and get out of the bigger crime. Like, being honest about one thing that's embarrassing or that could put you in a negative light, could make you a suspect, in order to hopefully make you look like an honest person. Like, if I would be willing to tell you this, like, yeah, if I'd be willing to tell you I stalked her, like, why would I tell you that? That would just make me a suspect. So obviously I shouldn't be a suspect because I was willing to admit that, like, I'm being honest with you. So to me, it just feels like a lot of plotting, a lot of planning. What am I going to do? What am I going to say? How am I going to get out of this? And I was trying to get more information about their living situation, so we're getting the Moon, which is a weird card to get for that question, and the Page of Swords, and then the Knight of Swords in reverse again. So I'm not getting much information about people they may be living with, if they're living with anybody, that kind of thing. I think they do still have possession of the weapon that they used. I also think there's somewhere where they can gather information. It's like messages are coming through. So I don't know if that means gossip or if that just means the news. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but somehow they're getting information in regards to the case. They do have a lot of mental energy. They have a very active mind. So even if they appear quiet externally, which I feel like they often do, there's a lot going on upstairs. There's also something here about not relying on the physical world, not relying on what you see. Like, it's making me think of, if you're a detective, if you pull up to a house and it looks pristine, perfect, white picket fence, everything inside is orderly but not too orderly, just has a nice homey feel to it. The person that you encounter, they're very polite, very personable, they come across as very honest. Maybe you drop that person to the bottom of the suspect pile because of this like unconscious bias, like what you see. Everything appears right. Everything appears as it should be. Something superficial. There's something about not trusting that. Or you could also read it as like hiding in plain sight, or like, say I'm right and the murder weapon is still with this person, is at their house. Maybe it's sitting in the kitchen, or maybe it's sitting on a shelf, like right where you can see it, but because it's so obvious, so out in the open, you don't even notice it. This moon card is also about secrets, lies, the danger ahead. I always say picture you're traveling down a darkened road at night, and up ahead in the shadows you see a creature, but you can't tell if that creature, if it's a dog, if it's a hyena, if it's friendly, if it's going to bite you, and that it's best to assume that it's going to bite you because any of those creatures could turn vicious, could injure you in some way. So it's going back to kind of what I was saying about that Queen of Wands card, how this person presents as very different with family and friends. They seem very confident, very open, very non-threatening. This could be read as like we're living with somebody who could snap, somebody who has a lot of repressed anger, a lot of secrets that they're trying to keep. Like, to everyone around this person that is close to this person, everything seems fine, seems like another day. They're not seeing like the danger that's in their midst. Could even be the child of someone influential, somebody who works for the government in some capacity, someone that would have access to insider information. Can't tell that for sure. I'm just thinking of this Page of Swords card again, of how people might access information that the public wouldn't know. And finally, I was just asking if there was any other information, anything that we should know, anything else that would be helpful. Any messages, things like that. So we are getting the Ace of Swords, the Two of Swords, the Three of Wands, and the Judgment card in reverse. So Ace of Swords, that's mental clarity or a breakthrough of some kind. Could be pointing to an actual break coming in the case. Could also be pointing to a breakthrough coming from this person's workplace, a colleague or an acquaintance. I only say that because the Ace of Swords came up in reverse earlier for how this person presents to the people around them, colleagues, acquaintances. So could be that they're acting peculiar when they're at work. Just somebody picks up on, a couple of weeks ago, this person was behaving one way, and now ever since this murder happened, they've been like a completely different person. So could be some kind of a tip from a colleague or somebody. And then Two of Swords, that just is saying that the detectives, people looking into this crime, are blind to something, which I know is very vague. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but it gives me the impression of something is looking you right in the face. That's what I was talking about earlier, about the knife that was used in this murder sitting on a shelf, sitting on a counter somewhere in this person's house. A detective goes and just doesn't even notice it because it's so commonplace everybody has knives in their kitchen, right? Or something else to do with the case, a shoe print that they found, perhaps. This person might be wearing the shoes when they go to question them, and they just don't even notice it because what kind of a killer would still be wearing the shoes that they used in a murder? Something that's like hiding in plain sight. I'm still picking up on that. Or being blinded because this person, they seem to be really honest, really straightforward about other bad things that they've done. There's also something here about a difficult decision to be made. It's like once we do this, once we let this cat out of the bag, we can't put it back. So once we tell the public something, we can't take that back. Or maybe once we test this piece of evidence, it it's going to destroy it. We won't be able to test it again, so we need to think carefully about whether we want to take that step. There's something like that going on. Like, do we want to release this crucial piece of information, this description, or this video evidence or something? Could be something like, we don't know if this person committed the crime, but they may have, but putting this kind of information into the public could make this person a target. So we would rather find them and question them on our own first, rather than risk like an angry mob or something going after this person. So not sure what it is, but there's something like that going on. And then the Three of Wands is about expansion. It's about foresight. So it could be that they need to expand the search area or expand the suspect pool. Maybe they've been focusing on people who live in the area, live in the county, they need to go outside. Or if they've been focusing on people who were friends in the same friend group, or people who had been in the house before, but there's something about needing to expand the search. And then Judgment card in reverse is talking about the public, about public pressure, public embarrassment. I do think the detectives, the police department, they're under a lot of pressure right now. There's a lot of scrutiny. I think there has been some backlash to some statements they made about this being a targeted attack and are other people in danger, things like that. So I see people being hesitant, not wanting to make a misstep, not wanting to lose the public's trust or to be publicly ridiculed. That may be driving some of their actions, some of why, like I was saying before, we don't want to let this cat out of the bag until we're certain. I'm also concerned about public attention driving this case, or the police being distracted, dealing with either information that's coming in from the public that isn't good information, or being distracted because, like, say somebody online did release the name of a potential suspect and then the public started to harass that person, being distracted by dealing with something like that rather than focusing on the actual case. Because there's something here to do with public involvement, people who don't have enough information about the case, pointing fingers at different suspects, or trying to get the public involved. I'm getting, I don't want to say a mob mentality, but I am getting something about trying to put pressure on the police by revealing things publicly, and I'm concerned that it's more of a distraction than it's actually helpful, which, of course, there is value in keeping the public informed, in keeping pressure on the police, but I'm just concerned about this, like, pointing fingers, scapegoating, almost mob mentality. Those aren't quite the right words. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but I'm concerned about that kind of behavior. There's also a potential split of some kind that's coming up. I'm not sure what that's referring to. We have multiple victims, multiple families involved, so I don't know if that's something coming in between them and their ability to cooperate with each other, or if it's talking about, I think the FBI is involved now, the local police, possibly other agencies, something coming in between them, their ability to work together. I'm not sure what that's referring to, or if it's like something coming in between the police and the public, like a breaking of public trust. But I do see a danger here in people not cooperating, not being on the same page as because of some outside influence. I'm getting the image of somebody coming to one of these families and stirring up trouble, saying things like, the police aren't doing everything that they can. Are we sure that nobody else is in danger? Maybe this other family, maybe they're not telling the police everything that they know. Maybe they're trying to protect their child's memory. There's somebody from the outside coming in and stirring up trouble, is what I'm picking up on. It's giving me media vibes. I'm not saying for certain that's who's behind it or that's what's going on, but it's giving me almost like journalists coming into town trying to stir up trouble in order to get a story, boost ratings, something like that. Once again, not saying that's exactly what's going on, but just picking up on somebody trying to cause problems for the sake of causing problems. So I think that's all that I'm going to be able to get for now. So I hope this case is solved soon. If not, if it drags on, I might try and do another reading on it in the future. Can't make any promises, but we'll see how it goes. So thank you everyone for dropping by. If you liked this, if you want to see more, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, drop me a comment down below, let me know your thoughts on the case. If you would like to support the channel, there are links in the description down below, or there is that little heart button below this video if you'd like to give directly. And until next time, please take care of yourselves, please be safe out there, and I hope to see you back here again for the next video. And bye now.